You think you know the truck market. You think you know what's coming next. You see the discounts, you see the rebates, and you think, finally, my chance to get a great deal on a brand new powerful American V8 pickup. But what if I told you that the unbelievable deals being flashed in front of you, the 0% for 36 months, the $7,000 off a $65,000 sticker are not a sign of a healthy market correcting itself, but a screaming, desperate panic coming from the most powerful automaker in the world. Because right now, General Motors is staring down a catastrophic existential crisis that could wipe out the heart of their truck and SUV lineup. And the only way they know how to fight it is by putting a gigantic flashing sale sign over a problem that the federal government is now saying is much, much worse than anyone ever admitted. And the terrifying part, the government agency investigating this, the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, just escalated its probe into a deep, full-scale engineering analysis, an action reserved for only the most serious potential defects. This is no longer just a recall. This is a full-blown safety investigation into the very foundation of GM's most profitable V8 engine, and it's dragging nearly 1 million truck owners along with it. You might remember the news from earlier this year. Around April of 2025, GM issued this massive recall affecting hundreds of thousands of their most expensive, most popular vehicles: the Chevrolet Silverado, the Tahoe, the GMC Sierra, the Yukon, the Cadillac Escalade. They all shared one thing: the 6.2-liter L87 V8 engine. GM's official statement blamed supplier manufacturing and quality issues, claiming the problem was isolated to a batch of faulty connecting rods and crankshafts caused by things like sediment in oil passages or parts that were just manufactured a hair out of spec. The remedy they gave you: an inspection, and if you were lucky, a brand new engine. If you weren't lucky, they told the dealers to just switch the oil to a thicker 0W40 weight, change the filter, and send you on your way. That was the fix. That was the bandage they put on a wound that was bleeding out the heart of their company. But the owners knew better. The reports kept piling up. Day after day, truck form after truck form, the same story. A customer would be driving down the highway, maybe 5,000 miles past their fix. Or maybe in a model year GM said wasn't affected, and with zero warning, their entire engine would seize. Catastrophic, total loss of power. They're cruising at 70 miles per hour, and then silence. That's not just a mechanical defect. That is a life or death safety hazard, especially when you're towing a full fifth wheel or hauling your family in a Suburban. Imagine this. You're passing an 18-wheeler. The engine is humming. You feel that beautiful raw power that only a big V8 gives you, and then it becomes a giant cold anchor. Your power steering goes heavy, the brakes become stiff, and you're suddenly fighting a 6,000-pound projectile on the interstate shoulder, trying not to get merged into the guardrail. The emotional toll of buying a $70,000 vehicle, a status symbol, a workhorse, a piece of your financial security, only to have it turn into a multi-ton paperweight on the side of the road. That feeling is pure betrayal. And the worst part is the constant nagging fear. Every cold start, every long highway drive, you're listening for that little tick, that little abnormal vibration, wondering if this is the moment your investment dies. That's the feeling a simple oil change doesn't fix, and that's the trauma GM is trying to cover up with a 0% APR sign. And now, the federal government is backing up those owners. As of the end of October 2025, the NHTSA's Office of Defects Investigation has logged over 1,100 complaints of engine-bearing failures. Here is the shocker, the one detail GM tried to bury. 173 of those reports came from vehicles outside of the original recall's production window, including older 2019 and 2020 Silverado and Sierra models. That is the proof that this isn't some simple contained supplier error that got fixed in a 6-month run of components. This defect is systemic. It reaches deeper into the engine's DNA, affecting nearly 300,000 more vehicles that GM has so far refused to touch. The NHTSA is now looking at a total count of almost 1 million affected trucks and SUVs from 2019 through 2024. This expanded investigation means GM is facing a potential second, even larger and far more costly recall. What does an engineering analysis actually mean? It means the government is done with GM's excuses. They're done looking at the paperwork. They are sending in their own engineers to determine if the root cause extends beyond the faulty supplier parts and whether the very dynamic fuel management DFM system, the technology that allows the engine to switch between 4 and 8 cylinders for efficiency, is itself part of the problem. They're looking for evidence of sediment buildup, oil gallery blockages, and out-of-spec tolerances that are causing the connecting rod bearings to fail catastrophically and without warning. The safety agency has even received reports mentioning 12 alleged crashes and 42 alleged fires tied to this specific failure mode, something that should set off every single alarm bell in Detroit. The stakes could not be higher. They are looking at billions in warranty claims, billions in market cap erosion, and a complete breakdown of trust that could take a decade to rebuild. So what does a car company do when it's sitting on a pile of its most profitable vehicles, a pile that is depreciating every single day, with the government breathing down its neck? They panic, and their panic is your great deal. Look at the competitive landscape right now. Ford and Ram are eating their lunch. Ford is selling the F-150 and their own Super Duty trucks at a fever pitch, knowing they dodged this specific V8 bullet. Toyota, despite its lower volume, has its loyal owners bragging about their 200,000 trouble-free miles. Meanwhile, GM's truck inventory is backing up like a clogged drain. We are seeing dealers right now offering average savings of well over 6% off MSRP, and that's just the starting point. On some of the heavy-duty Silverado 2500S, which share in this entire market malaise, we're seeing dealers desperate enough to give discounts of up to 20% off. You can walk into a lot armed with the knowledge of this new NHTSA engineering analysis and demand a price that is thousands of dollars below the dealer's invoice, a thing that was unheard of just 2 years ago. The clock is ticking for those dealers. Every single unsold $75,000 truck on their lot is costing them somewhere between $40 to $50 a day in floor plan interest and overhead. Imagine 100 trucks on the lot. That's $5,000 per day in pure holding costs just to keep the lights on and the tires inflated on trucks no one wants to buy because the word is out. They are bleeding money. They need to move the metal, and they need to move it now before this new federal probe hits the mainstream news cycle and the entire market for GM's V8 trucks freezes up entirely. The cashback is not a gift. It is a tax on their desperation. The desperation is a beautiful thing for a savvy buyer, but you have to walk in with your eyes wide open. These huge cashback offers and the amazing 0% APR deals are simply an attempt to outrun the headlines. They are trying to turn your attention away from a connecting rod that may be one highway cruise away from punching a hole through your engine block. They're hoping the financial incentive is shiny enough to blind you to the risk. They are prioritizing the short-term goal of hitting their monthly sales quota over the long-term safety and financial security of their customer base. They know the risk, the NHTSA knows the risk, and now you know the risk. So the market is a battlefield right now. On one side, you have General Motors and its dealer network, frantically trying to push inventory out the door with unprecedented deals, hoping to offload their risk before the government forces a billion-dollar fix. On the other side, you have the NHTSA, now escalating a full engineering analysis with a trail of 1,157 owner complaints that prove this V8 engine problem is deeper, wider, and a far more serious safety threat than GM's original recall ever accounted for. For you, the buyer, it means there's a window right now to get a price that should be impossible, but you have to weigh that massive discount against the terrifying possibility of a sudden catastrophic engine failure that could leave you stranded or worse. The V8 Dream is on sale, but it comes with a major expanding safety risk that the federal government is now investigating at its highest level. You have to decide, is a six-figure discount worth the chance of a zero-warning 70-mile-per-hour failure? Because that is the real price of a Silverado today.